My name is Althea Dennison. I'm 34, and until 3 months ago, I thought I understood the rules of survival. Keep your head down, stay polite, and the system will protect you. I'm a first-generation college graduate, raised by a single mom who worked 2 nursing jobs just to keep the lights on. Now I live in Portland and teach elementary art, or rather I used to, before the court decided I wasn't fit to raise my own children. Unlike my ex-husband Donovan, born into wealth and shaped for control, I never had a safety net. I always knew I didn't belong in his world. I was the emotional one, the inconvenient one, the one they labeled unstable for crying in public. But none of that prepared me for the moment a judge handed him custody of my unborn twins without blinking. People think the worst part of betrayal is when it happens. But no, the worst part is realizing it was planned long before you knew to look behind you. And the moment I reached for the clinic door, I realized I wasn't just fighting for custody, I was fighting for my life. The verdict was still warm in my coat pocket. Wet paper, smudged ink. They hadn't even bothered to staple it properly. I stood outside the women's clinic on Hawthorne and 7th. Rain tracing cold fingers down my neck. The city hummed around me, indifferent. A bus hissed past. Neon signs buzzed. Somewhere a dog barked. Inside the clinic, soft lighting spilled through fog glass, sterile and warm. I didn't move. 3 days ago, I still believed fairness existed. Now I knew better. The judge's words still scraped the inside of my skull. Full custody awarded to Mr. Donovan Wright, to take effect upon live birth of the minors. Mother's psychological instability noted in court documentation. They'd erased me from my own children's lives. Preemptively, efficiently. I had asked my lawyer what psychological instability meant. She looked away, said it didn't matter. The court had spoken. She didn't even try to appeal. Donovan's attorney had smiled at me like he was ordering coffee. It's for the best. You'll see. The best? I nearly vomited on his shoes. My hand hovered inches from the glass door. It was warmer inside. Easier, too. One step and it would all stop. No courtroom. No press. No endless nights replaying every fight, every text, every cold stare across a breakfast table. The door's handle glinted. I could see my reflection. Blurred, hollow. My coat hung awkwardly over the curve of my stomach. 7 months. Twins. Something moved in the reflection. A shape. A figure. Don't go inside, honey. The voice cracked through the rain like a wire snapping. Raspy. Old. Almost too calm. I turned. She sat hunched on the concrete ledge by the clinic steps. Gray hoodie soaked through. Sleeves pushed to the elbows. Skin weathered like driftwood. But her eyes, they cut through the fog like headlights. I said, "Don't." My throat tightened. "Do I know you?" She smiled slow. "Not yet." My fingers curled tighter around the verdict paper. "You're not crazy," she said. "They made you think you were. There's a difference." I blinked. The back of my neck tingled. "What are you talking about?" Her eyes never left mine. That judge, he was bought. This wasn't about custody. It never was. The world went silent. Only the rain. Only her voice. She leaned in. Her breath smelled like mint and steel. You walk in there, they win twice. You walk away, they don't get to write the ending. Something splintered in me. A nerve, maybe. A thread. I turned back toward the clinic. Then I stepped away. I walked. I didn't know where. The rain blurred street signs. My shoes slapped water, heavy and cold. I looked back once. She was gone. No sign of her. Just the rain and the empty ledge. In my hand, the verdict was pulpy now. I tightened my grip, eyes fixed on the headlights ahead, somewhere into the unknown. I walked away from the door, but I didn't walk away from the fight. The coffee burned my tongue, but I didn't flinch. Pain meant I was still here, still fighting. Jillian slid into the booth across from me, her red scarf soaked, hair curling wild from the drizzle. She looked the same. Sharp eyes, tired face, always too smart for her own safety. She didn't speak at first, just watched me shake as I held the paper cup like a shield. They gave him everything, I said. My voice barely carried over the low jazz crackling from the corner speaker, even the parts of me he never wanted. Her jaw flexed. He never wanted them. He wanted to win. The silence between us was loud. Outside, headlights bled across wet pavement. Raindrops traced frantic patterns down the window. A flash of red, a taillight stalling too long at the curb, then gone. She leaned in. I've been digging. You're not the first. There's a pattern. Quiet settlements. Fast-track rulings. Custody flips like it's real estate. My heart stopped. What are you saying? Jillian tapped her phone. The judge. Corwin. His name shows up too many times in family cases where the mother disappears from the picture, always linked to high-value property transfers. You lost your house, right? My chest tightened. He filed for the sale. Sign my name. That's forgery. Did you report it? I did. No one listened. They said it looked legit. The notary signature checked out. Her lips pressed into a thin line. There's a firm behind him. Developers. Investors. Someone's cleaning up messes. Quickly. A shadow moved across the glass outside. I turned. Nothing but the reflection of two women breaking apart at the seams. Clara Davenport's office was dim, warm, all wood and whispers. The smell of paper and coffee. She had the presence of someone who's already read the last page and knows it won't end well. Jillian made the intro. Clara didn't smile. She only looked at me like a file she'd already opened in her head. Why do you believe the ruling was biased? I pulled out the folder, dumped the mess of documents onto her polished oak desk. Pages warped from rain. My hands trembled as I sorted through the chaos. There's a psych eval, I said, from my therapist. It clears me. I gave it to my attorney before trial. Clara flipped through the court's official record. She stopped. Evaluation's not here. What? It's not listed. Not submitted. No, I gave it to her. She said she'd file it before the hearing. Clara closed the folder, sat back. If that eval never made it into the record, the custody ruling leans entirely on their claims. If it vanished, that's malpractice. Or worse. I swallowed hard. What if she was paid off? She didn't answer, but her silence screamed louder than any yes. Night fell fast. Jillian's phone buzzed, 3 short bursts. She looked down, eyes narrowed. Clarence Vance is in. The reporter? Private now. Investigative freelance. Deep pockets. Deep files. He knows how to follow dirty money. Clara nodded. If there's corruption, Clarence will find it. The car ride was silent. Wet roads. Wipers struggling. I stared out the window, but I couldn't see anything. Just shapes. Ghosts. We pulled into my apartment complex. Dark. Empty. Jillian leaned forward from the back seat. You okay? No. That's good. Means you're not numb yet. Inside, I peeled off my coat. Damp paper crumpled in my pocket. I moved to the window. Froze. A black SUV sat across the street. No lights. Engine off. Too clean. I stared for a beat. It didn't move. Then brake lights blinked. Engine turned. It pulled away. No plates on the back. 3 hours later, I sat on my bed, every light on. The twins kicked. One strong, the other fluttering. I whispered to the room, "You're not a bargaining chip. You're a warning shot." Jillian texted, "Meet me tomorrow. Clara wants to open a file on the judge. You ready?" I typed back, "Yes. I'm done being erased." Midnight. A knock at the door. I didn't move. Another knock. I stepped closer. Nothing. Just silence. And then the buzzing of my phone. Blocked number. Text, someone is watching me now, and I'm not the only one who knows it. The USB drive was small, black, innocuous, like something you'd forget in a desk drawer. Clarence slid it across the table at the back of the diner like it was toxic. Jillian leaned over it like she was defusing a bomb. Where did you get it? Source inside Rivermark Holdings. Anonymous drop at my P.O. box. No note. Just this. He tapped the plastic with 2 fingers. Encrypted. Deep. Government grade. Is it related to the custody ruling? I asked. Clarence looked at me. If what's on here is real, your case is just the tip of a very ugly iceberg. We didn't stay long. Too many eyes. Booth behind us emptied right after the drive hit the table. Clarence noticed. So did Jillian. Don't speak again until we're in motion, she muttered. We moved. Quiet. Fast. Clarence led us to a nondescript Toyota parked in the alley behind a closed bookstore. He popped the trunk, laptop, scrambler, mobile hotspot. His version of a war room. Never trust an empire built in silence, he said. They always hide the real blueprints. The footage loaded slow. First, grainy images, security cam overlays, timestamps. Then a boardroom. Men in suits. Marble table. Projector screen showing satellite maps of Portland's east side. One man pointed. Once the lien clears, we transfer property rights through the Shell Corp. She'll sign if she wants her kids. Leverage her mental health, another added. Use Corwin's language. She's unstable, it'll stick. I couldn't breathe. They said it so casually, like I was just paperwork. A file to manipulate. Then, a familiar voice, Donovan. I'll cover the eval fee. Have her therapist flagged for review if she pushes back. We'll get the court order to bypass consent. He laughed. Clarence paused the video. That's a crime. Several, actually. Jillian stared at the screen like it might burn her. They forged documents. They pressured a medical provider. They bought a judge. My fingers curled into fists. Can we use this? I asked. Not like this, Clarence said. Not yet. It has to be verified, backed, chained to admissible sources. But it's enough to open doors. We split. 3 ways. Safety in disarray. I drove with Jillian. Headlights carved tunnels through wet streets. Wipers couldn't keep up. He sold my body to win a zoning deal, I whispered. Jillian didn't answer for a beat. Then, you said once that pain teaches you what love won't. I nodded. It also teaches you who the monsters are. Donovan called at 11:47 p.m. I didn't pick up. Voicemail transcribed automatically. Donovan, I know you're talking to people. Be smart, Althea. We both know how this ends. The next morning, Jillian found something. The therapist, Dr. Lane, her license was suspended 2 weeks after your custody hearing. My blood ran cold. Why? No official reason listed. Just temporary revocation due to review. Because of my file. Jillian didn't answer. She didn't have to. We met with Clara in a hotel conference room under a fake name. Clarence sent files to a data vault. Off-site secure. Insurance. There's something else, he said. He opened a folder. Photos. Time-stamped. Legal filing dates. 3 other women. 3. All had custody pulled. All lived on property, now owned by a development fund. All filed complaints. None were investigated. All vanished from the court system. No appeals. No lawyers who'll return calls. They were erased, Clara said. Same judge. I asked. 2 of them, Corwin. The room went quiet. Then Clara said, we file an emergency motion to freeze any property transfers on your behalf. Today. Will the court listen? They'll have to, especially if we leak just enough to the right reporter. Clarence nodded. I've got a burner ready. 1 press drop. Then we wait. As I left the hotel, I saw him. Across the street. Tan coat. Black beanie. Just standing. Watching. When I looked again, gone. I didn't sleep. At 2:13 a.m., a message hit my encrypted inbox. No name. No subject. Just a photo. Me. Standing outside the hotel. 15 seconds before I saw the man. Taken from above. My building has no balcony, and no one should have known I was there. I stared at the image until the screen dimmed. And suddenly, I wasn't sure if the next knock would be from my lawyer or my predator. At 6:42 a.m., the silence of my apartment broke. Not with sound, but with movement. A flash. Then a knock. 3 sharp hits. Not impatient. Calculated. I didn't answer. I checked the peephole. Empty hallway. But taped to the door was a padded envelope. No name. No return address. Inside a phone. Burner. Old model. Prepaid. It lit up the second I touched it. One new message. Don't trust Clara. An hour later, I met Clara and Jillian at a public park. No cameras. No Wi-Fi. Just wind and winter bear trees. Clara handed me paperwork. We're filing today. The motion to freeze assets has to be timed with the leak. What leak? I asked. Jillian gave a tight nod. Clarence's drop. He's sending the boardroom footage to an editor at the Oregon Chronicle. Redacted names. Enough to stir fear without giving up the source. But I hesitated. What if they trace it back? Clara leaned closer. They'll be too busy scrambling to hide the rest of their rot. Sometimes smoke keeps the fire safe. Her tone was off. Measured. Less urgent. Less human. By noon, Clarence confirmed the leak went live. At 12:03 p.m., my phone vibrated nonstop. By 12:06, Donovan called again. This time I answered. Do you know what you've done? He said. Yeah. I stopped dying quietly. He chuckled. Cute. You should know. Your little therapist filed an ethics complaint the morning after your eval. Said you were a threat to yourself. That's a lie. Prove it. Oh wait, you can't. Because Dr. Lane's in treatment now. For psychosis. Click. I drove to the address I had on file. Dr. Lane's home. Gate padlocked. Curtains drawn. But across the street, an older man smoked behind his fence. She moved, he called out. 3 weeks ago. In a hurry. 2 guys came, boxed everything. Did she say where? He shook his head. Nope. But one of them left a card behind. Slipped from his coat. He handed me a water-stained business card. AMC Trust Group. Family Solutions Division. Back at my apartment, I laid the card beside the burner phone. Patterns emerged. They always do when the pain is sharp enough. AMC Trust was listed on the property sale form Donovan filed after the custody ruling. They weren't just financial consultants, they were the shell. Clara had told me she'd seen that name before, too, but she hadn't said where. At 3:11 p.m., Jillian called. You're not going to like this. I rarely do. Clara was once on retainer for AMC. 8 years ago. Corporate restructuring. Not illegal, but she never mentioned it. No. And get this, one of the other mothers from Clarence's file? Her frozen asset motion was dismissed. Filed too late. By a lawyer from Clara's old firm. My stomach turned. It's always the people who talk like saviors that hold the sharpest knives. I confronted Clara at her office. She didn't flinch. You think I'm playing both sides? She asked, voice calm. I think you didn't tell me the whole truth. And in a case where truth decides custody, that matters. She leaned forward. You want to win this, Althea? Then grow thicker skin. The courtroom doesn't care about feelings. It cares about leverage. I stared at her. This isn't just strategy anymore. It's survival. She smiled faintly. Same thing some days. I walked out. Back home, the USB was missing. The drawer I hid it in emptied. No sign of forced entry. But the burner phone still sat untouched, which meant they wanted the data, not me. Yet, 9:30 p.m., Clarence pinged the group chat. Clarence, the Chronicle published, "We've got 2 hours before the first response hits. Be ready." Jillian, "What about Corwin?" Clarence, "Gone dark. Judicial office says he's on sabbatical." Me and Donovan? Clarence, on record calling it a smear campaign by a bitter ex. I typed back, "Let's give him something worth smearing." At 11:12 p.m., the second phone vibrated. Unknown number. Message, "We warned you. Now we show you." Attached, a still image. My ultrasound photo, pinned to the wall of a room I didn't recognize, with today's date written under it in red ink. And in the corner, barely visible, Donovan's initials, carved into wood. The image burned into my skull. My ultrasound pinned to a wall I didn't recognize. Someone's hands had touched it. Someone had taken it. Someone was close enough to know where I kept my medical files. And the red ink. Today's date. A warning carved into reality. I grabbed my coat. My keys. My breath. Everything felt too loud. My heart hammered, like it was trying to outrun the truth. Outside, the street looked normal. But normal is just a disguise danger likes to wear. I drove straight to Jillian's. Not Clara's. Not anymore. Her porch light flickered once, twice, like a signal. She opened the door before I knocked. "You look like you just saw your future," she said. I did. I handed her the burner phone. She stared at the photo, her jaw tightening. "This isn't a threat," she said. "It's a promise." Her words tasted metallic in my chest. People always say fear makes you fragile. But sometimes fear sharpens you like a blade. "We need to triangulate where that wall could be," she whispered. Lighting, paint tone, angle of the nails. No, I cut in. "We need to know who walked into my apartment. Then we start with the weakest link." "Clara." Jillian nodded slowly. "Let's move." Cut to. We pulled up outside Clara's downtown office. Her windows were dark. Lobby empty. Door locked. But her desk lamp glowed faintly inside, like someone had just stepped away. "Maybe she's avoiding you," Jillian said. "No, she's avoiding the truth." I pressed my palm against the glass, peering inside. Papers scattered. Her laptop open. A drawer slightly ajar. A faint vibration hummed from somewhere near her desk. Jillian crouched beside the lower vent. There. A phone hidden behind the grate. Buzzing. Not her personal phone. A second one. Unlocked. On the screen. A thread with a contact labeled DW. Donovan Whitmore. My blood chilled. Jillian read aloud, voice thin. "Clara, she's unstable. File is ready. I'll deliver tomorrow. DW, she won't see what's coming. Clara, the asset freeze won't work." I stalled her motion. DW, good girl. For a moment, breath died in my lungs. Clara didn't just hide a conflict of interest. She was feeding him information. A paid saboteur. "He bought her," Jillian whispered. "Maybe years ago. Maybe recently. But he bought her." A quote flickered in my mind. Something a professor once told us during crisis intervention training. People don't fall from grace. They walk, inch by inch, one compromise at a time. I guess Clara took the whole staircase. We were still processing when headlights swept across the office windows. A car rolled to a stop across the street. Black, tinted. Jillian's hand clamped my arm. Someone's inside. A figure moved behind the car's glass. A man, big, unmoving, watching. "Get down," she whispered. We ducked behind the planter. The engine idled. A window clicked down an inch. Cold air carried a whiff of clove cigarette. Not Donovan. He didn't smoke. But Corwin Hale? He always reeked of cloves in the courthouse hallways. The man in the car turned his head, slowly scanning. "We need to go," Jillian breathed. We sprinted to her SUV, tires skidding as we flew out of the lot. In the rearview mirror, the black sedan pulled out too. Following. Always following. Cut to. The safe house, Jillian's term for her sister's old photography studio, abandoned after a roof leak. Dusty but isolated. No security cameras. No neighbors. My pulse thumped in my ears as we barricaded the door with storage boxes. Jillian spread out the burner phone photo, the text thread, and the old AMC card. "We're missing a link," she said. "People like Donovan don't act alone. They build networks." A click. Metal. Behind us. We both spun. A figure stepped from the dark corner of the room. Clarence. Hands raised. Breathing hard. "What the hell?" I gasped. "You scared us." "I had to come," he said. "Someone wiped my files. Every document on Corwin and AMC. Gone. Cleaned remotely." He set his laptop down. The screen lit his face in blue. Sweat shining along his hairline. "There was one encrypted message left behind," he said. "Just one." He turned the laptop so we could see. A single line blinked. "The twins aren't his. That's why he wants them." Everything inside me froze. "No," I whispered. "That's impossible." Jillian stared at me. "Althea, is there any chance?" "No," I said, voice breaking. "They're his. They have to be." Clarence swallowed. "DNA doesn't lie. And if Donovan knows something you don't." My world tilted. "No. No. No." A whisper from the darkest corner of my thoughts rose. Maybe the custody case wasn't about winning. Maybe it was about preventing the truth. The floor creaked. We all turned. A shadow moved behind the frosted studio glass. Then a hand pressed flat against it. Large. Male. Waiting. Watching. A voice outside the door. Low. Familiar. Cutting through the thin walls like a blade. "Althea, open the door. We need to talk." "Donovan." I didn't open the door. Not right away. I stared at it, frozen, while Donovan's voice threaded through the cracks, low and smooth like a trap disguised as a lullaby. "I just want to talk, Althea." No footsteps. No jiggling of the knob. Just that sickly stillness that always precedes the snap. Jillian motioned silently to Clarence. He unplugged the laptop and ducked behind a crate, already dialing a secure line. I moved toward the door, slowly, each step cracking the air like glass under pressure. "You want the truth, don't you?" Donovan said. I laughed, a dry, hollow thing. "You're about 10 months late." "Then let me make it right." I cracked the door open half an inch. Enough to see his face. Too calm. Too clean. Monsters shouldn't look so polished. "Then start with this," I said. "Whose children am I carrying?" A flick. The tiniest twitch of his mouth. "You know the answer to that," he replied. "But you also know it doesn't matter. Not anymore." The safe house lights cut. Total darkness. Clarence cursed. Jillian grabbed my arm. Footsteps now outside, heavy. Not just one set. Back up. They were going to storm in. But the sound came from the back door. Not the front. Clarence lunged toward the exit, but froze mid-step. The back door creaked open on its own. A shadow entered. Then a second. Federal officers. Hands where we can see them. Flashlights sliced the dark. Guns raised. Badges flashed. "Step away from the door." Donovan's voice shifted from control to panic. "There's been a misunderstanding." "Then let's go clarify it downtown," one agent said flatly. Jillian turned to me. "You made that report last week, remember?" I blinked. The emergency custody motion. The duplicate file I'd sent to the DOJ. I never thought it would reach anyone in time. But it had. The system didn't move fast. But when it did, it came with teeth. Cut to. A courtroom again, but not like before. This time, it was Donovan in the defendant's seat. Wire fraud, perjury, conspiracy to obstruct, tampering with federal financial documents. And Clara? She was missing. Worn out. Likely fled to Canada. AMC's accounts were frozen. Their whistleblower program? Now under federal oversight. And the babies? Still inside me. Still mine. Blood or not. Truth makes a better parent than DNA ever could. 3 weeks later, I stood on a hill behind the courthouse. The wind tugged at my coat, my hair, my thoughts. The city glittered below, fragile, flawed, still moving forward. Beside me, Jillian lit a cigarette. You know, she said, exhaling smoke into the cold. People think justice is about punishment, but it's not. It's about exposure, shining the light, making things seen. I never wanted revenge, I said quietly. I just wanted to stop running. You didn't run, she said. You survived. That word felt heavier now. Real. Survival isn't breathing. It's choosing to breathe after everything tries to crush you. Behind us, Clarence walked up with a manila folder. New evidence, he said. They found Clara's digital trail. Offshore accounts. Emails with dates going back to before your wedding. Meaning? I asked. He looked at me. He planned this. From the start. I nodded. Not because I was surprised, but because it confirmed what I'd already buried. You loved him once, didn't you? Clarence asked softly. I loved who I thought he was. And now? Now, I said, I love myself more. As we walked back to the car, I paused by a shop window. In the reflection, I saw myself, not the version torn by courts, lies, and fear, but the woman still standing after the storm. I touched my belly. 2 lives. 1 future. All ours. Some people build legacies with money, I whispered. But the only legacy worth anything is truth. Because lies crumble. But truth? Truth roots. It survives. So will we.